What is wisdom? Well, Christian philosopher Paul Capon is really helpful here. He wrote a book called Loving Wisdom, and he defines wisdom really clearly and succinctly. He just simply says, wisdom is the skill of living. Wisdom is the skill of living. So if you want to assess your wisdom aptitude, you just have to ask, how skillful am I at life? Now, what he argues is that people should love wisdom, but he qualifies that rightly by stating that if we're going to love wisdom, we must rightly relate to God. What does Psalm 111:10 say? It says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. All those who practice it have a good understanding." And yes, wisdom is something to be practiced in life. Now, the Hebrew word for wisdom, which I noted there, is chokhmah. When the scriptures refer to human wisdom, in the Hebrew conception, it's a development of the mind. Wisdom is an expansion of knowledge, an understanding of both the meaning of life and how that life must be lived. But more than that, all wisdom, the Bible tells us, comes from God. In other words, if you want to live a meaningful and moral life, you must know God through his Son, Jesus Christ. You have to have a proper view of reality. Namely, that God is the creator of everyone and everything. And so Paul Capon rightly concludes. He says, ultimately, we can't truly have wisdom without being rightly connected to God and his word. We'll be out of touch with the human problem and its solution in Christ. That is, wisdom at its heart can't be secular or without God. Now, some might object right now, and you might say, well, Pastor Bob, that can't be true. There's a lot of people who aren't Christians, I know, who are pretty wise people. And yeah, that is true. I mean, God offers something to this world called common grace. In other words, God's grace to many people, he gives that to them, and they have natural talents and sharp minds and moral inclinations, even if they don't choose to follow him. It's true, but because they don't know God through Jesus Christ, I don't think they can truly be wise because they don't have a correct view of reality. They might make good decisions, but for the wrong reasons. And this is what Solomon has been saying all along. He says, you can live with God or you can live without God. Your choice will ultimately take you in two polar opposite directions. But if you choose the without God life, you will never truly, at its core, be wise, because when the rubber meets the road, at some point, someday, you will be exposed as a fool. True wisdom requires not just good decisions, but a correct view of this world. It's God's world. And because of that, when you're stuck in the middle of the maze, if you don't know the guide, you will eventually come to a dead end. Wisdom